So Miles, how do you think that they're gonna do? And then I'll get into a bit how they're gonna play.
Personally, I think that them playing together for, so long is definitely going to help them. Only having played the cycle for 2 weeks, though, that could definitely prove to be a major downfall just because they don't have nearly as much experience as a lot of these other more higher level players that have been playing for so long do. I've seen that they are mainly focusing PvP again. That is definitely a playstyle choice that can either be very beneficial or very harmful. So depending on what they want to do and how they play it, I mean, it could really work out for them. They have a past in competitive gaming, which is obviously a plus. This is not going to be their first tournament. So I can see them definitely doing well. Really, the only downside that I see to this team is going to be their lack of time playing the cycle. Other than that, they've got the communication, they've got the teamwork skills down, all of that stuff. Now, I've seen that they have some keys to success that you want to point out, Modix. What are those?
Yeah, so basically, my tips for Team Yarg is going to be to communicate well, especially because they're going to be focusing PvP. The key to PvP in the cycle is actually communication. If you don't have solid communication going into a fight, you're basically done. You can count yourself out of that fight. But since they've played so many games before this and they've kept the same team, I wouldn't doubt that communication would be one of their main strengths because I mean we've played for with each other for a while, Miles. Like it's been a pretty long time since we started playing these multiplayer games, and I feel like we know how each other plays and we're able to communicate really well and just spray down the same person every single time. So I think that they want to try to do this. And that's my first key to success. And then my second one that I have is to clear all the lobbies. If you are a team going for PvP, you need to clear all the lobbies because if a team doesn't leave and get one person at least evac, they don't get any points. So if you're not going for any PvE or VPs, then in order to get points, you're going to want to clear the whole lobby. So you guys are going to want to be sure to do that. That's my one tip for you guys.
All right, so I'm going to start talking about this next team. The next team that we have is Team TTV, by the way. This team is going to consist of Cobra, Dr. C Pants, Lardalicious, and Desperate Saint. Now, with this team, Cobra and Lard and C Pants have all only been playing for 3 weeks total, and Saint just joined the community 5 days ago. Even though they've been playing for such a short amount of time, they have gotten 92 VPs without having Saint on the team, and they have achieved 80 VPs with having Saint on their team. So even though they have just recently started playing the game, it seems like their teamwork and their chemistry is going to be what really is going to help them in this game. And it seems like even though they still haven't played, like I was just saying, they have gotten some very high VP games with a lack of experience. So hopefully we can see that coming out in this tournament. If they are pulling 80 to 92 VPs normally, I could definitely see them getting a good amount during the tournament. I've seen that they also try to go for PvE a lot unless it is a very slow game. So that could either be a very good thing or a very bad thing for them. I think going for PvE is great, especially for a new team, because they're going to be able to get their VPs up without having to contest people too much. But if it ends up being a slow game and they get a little bit antsy and try and force something to happen, it is not going to be great for them. They will end up dying to some of these more experienced players. For instance, I know Vertically Obese will probably be able to take out some of these players just because of his more skill in PvP, etc. This team likes to prioritize Zeal, Uplink, Drill, and Crystals a lot more than some of the more PvP-oriented contracts. So those are going to be their main contracts. And a couple things that they are going to need to do this game in order to win this tournament. They're going to do what they did for their record games. Whatever their strategy was for those 92 and 80 overall games, they definitely need to be going for same or similar play style as they did then. And also, they need to be splitting into 2 groups of 2 if they are going to be going for this PvE style content. Whenever you split into your 2 groups of 2, you're able to cover double as much space and do double as many contracts, which ends up being, you could guess it, double the amount of VP that you get. The only downside to this is going to be in PvP, their fights are going to be much harder because they will get focused down much easier and end up running into a lot of 2v4 situations, which could end up being not good for them. Modix, do you want to take us on to our next team that we have playing in this tournament?
Well, before we want to do that, I do want to say that I did watch some of the TTV, by the way, stream yesterday. I watched Cobra Concepts, and I'm just going to say, you guys need to watch out for this team. I feel like they will do so well in this tournament aspect. And I mean, Saint just joined 5 days ago. I don't think that really matters. They were getting a ton of high VPs last night while I was kind of just scouting out who's going to be playing and everything. And this is one of my picks to watch. So guys, just don't sleep on them. That's my biggest advice to some of the other people maybe playing in it. But now we are moving on to Team Patriotic Platypus. This is by far a team favorite, but we have a bit of an issue with it. So the reason why I'm saying that it's a fan favorite, we have one of the owners of the PCL, Eric the Unready, on this team, and he's joined by Musil, what was supposed to be Kapagi. Just wait 1 minute and we'll get into that, and Sin Sharks. So like 30 minutes ago, we just found out Kapagi will not be able to make it due to the time zone change, I guess, but they're gonna have to try to find a third person to go and play for him. I don't know if they're gonna be able to find somebody. I know that they were just looking in the Discord, trying their best to find someone, but we have not gotten news on who that is yet. We will update you guys if it happens, but let's go ahead and talk about how they're gonna want to play. So they're playing to win. I talked to Eric about this, and he said that they will not take fights if they don't have to, because just remember, guys, the scoring does not give any points for kills. It's all based on VPs. And while we're on the topic of scoring, I just want to interrupt really quickly and go ahead and bring us to the actual scoring page, because I feel like this is definitely going to be crucial for you guys to actually understand how this tournament works. So for scoring, basically the way that it works is points are based on lobby position. First place is going to get 10 points. Second place will get 7. Third will get 5. Fourth will get 3. And fifth will get 2. There will be an additional of 1 point for every 10 VP when you evac. So basically, if you get 11 VP, you will be getting 1.1 extra points added to your lobby position. And then you need to have at least one member evac if you want your score to count, or else all that hard work you did for the past 20 minutes goes back down to 0, and you have a ton of ground to make up if you're looking to get into the top spots in this week. And you also get a deduction of 1 point for each non-PCL team. So that's basically 10 VP for every non-PCL team. So guys, they will need to be in a PCL lobby basically, or else you have to get a really high VP. But I feel like it is even just because, I mean, you get easier lobbies if you're not in a PCL team. So it's going to be interesting if a team always spawns in with non-PCL teams. But heading back over to Team Platypus. So they basically said not going to take any fights if they don't have to. The contracts that they are going to be focusing are Zeals. They think that Zeals will win them this week, and I'm going to have to agree with them. If they can get 4 players carrying a Zeal at the same time, that is crazy VPs, because just remember, the Zeal is passive. You can carry the Zeal around, go around completing other contracts, and you're getting double the VPs, I want to say. I think that we say double the VPs a lot, but if you can double your VPs, you are more likely to get a lead than everybody else. So we know that they've said that they didn't want to fight, but they have said that if Zeal and Cycle Spike are put into this situation, then they might change their playstyle. So let's say that an enemy team did pick up a Zeal. They will probably go and try to fight for this Zeal because they think it's that important. And I think every one of the teams knows that if they want to get a high VP game, they're going to need to complete Cycle Spike if it's in their lobby. If it's not, I mean, there's nothing they can do about it. But if they ever see that cycle spikes happening, you guys are going to see a ton of players rush over to the cycle spike zone and try to get as many VPs as possible from it. So I talked to Eric about who he thought would be the best player on their team that would perform the best with the increased competition. And you want to know what's ironic about his choice? The player's not playing on their team anymore. It was Kappa Gee. He thought that he could really step up and just be that extra part that they needed to their team to help them win. And without Kappa there, it's going to hurt him. I think that Kappa's a very great player, but it might not hurt them as much as possible because me and Miles were actually talking before the stream, and we said that one of the biggest issues from Patriotic Platypus would be so many leaders are on the same team that they might clash heads. So we know that Kappa and Eric both led their own teams last season. And what happens is when you put two leaders on the same team, they're both gonna probably want to do other things. And if the things are different, then you might be getting a fight, and that's not great because communication has to be on top of things. So my keys to success, I'm going to keep on with the ones that I already got before I heard Kappa was leaving. And it's just to find somebody to lead your team. If you have a great leader on your team, you're going to be able to basically win every single lobby, because I feel like the key to the cycle is mainly communication. If you have a team working all together, you're going to get a high VP game. My next key to success is to communicate well. It goes hand in hand with that last one. Find a leader, communicate well, listen to them, and you'll be well off. I think that this team definitely still has a chance without Kappa. It is a pretty big loss, but I think that they're good enough players that they can still get it done. Almost all of the players, Eric, Moose, and Sin Sharks, they've all played before in the PCL, so they know what they're doing. They're used to the scoring system. Just going to be interesting to see how they deal with all the great players that are going to be in their lobbies. So, Miles, is there anything you want to say about Patriotic Platypus?
So we do know that Kappa Gee is not going to be able to play with them, but I do have some insider information from a player named Kellamar who says that it seems like they have found their extra player, so they are going to be queuing 4. I am not sure how reliable this is, but we can hopefully count on them having 4 players and maybe even having Kellamar as one of their players, which would be absolutely insane. It really just adds to that team to be even better. I think, like you were saying, the communication is going to be one of the more important things in these games for really every single team that there is. This team has a lot of experience playing with each other. They've played in a lot of weeks of the PCL. They're just really going to be able to work together and hopefully win this game, win this entire tournament. I'm going to go ahead and head on to Team Short right now. This team is going to consist of Oxford, KSN, Odio, X-Shucks, and A. Jerome. This team has only played the game for a total of 2 weeks, and this team has only been together for a week and a half. So this is kind of a common theme that we are seeing among these teams. A lot of newer players and a lot of newly formed teams. So that is kind of what is going to give some of the teams like Team Patriotic Platypus the advantage, just because they've been playing for so long together, whereas teams such as Team Short is just not going to be able to have some of the same advantages. But this team is going to be going for PvE, but they have said that they will not be backing down from a fight. So these are some strong words, especially with the high competition in this tournament. So we will see how that pans out during this tournament. Some of the keys that we think these players are going to have to listen to are they're going to need to not PvP some of the more OG experienced players that there are, such as Vertically Obese, just like I said earlier in the cast. And they also are going to be doing less aggressive contracts. If they can pay attention to those 2 things, I think they're going to be able to play much better together. But I think that what could be the downfall to them is going to be if they end up trying to pick a fight and not back down from it, that is going to prove deadly. So they're going to have to pick these fights very carefully, I believe. Monix, do you think that they're going to be able to win the fights that they're going to be picking, or do you think that could be the downfall to them?
Honestly, if you've only been playing the game for 2 weeks, I would be very scared going in PvP against players like Vert, Splice, Eric, and so many other teams. Like, I don't know how that's going to work out for them. Maybe they've had past experiences with other games, but I feel like you need to be very confident in your PvP skills to go into a tournament with the best players in the cycle and want to go and PvP them. So it's going to be a bold move by them. If they want to do it, it's all for them to choose, but I think it might lead to their downfall. So I'd maybe rethink it, but don't let me change the way you play. I love to see teams go out there and just wreak some havoc on everybody because, I mean, if they get a lobby wipe, that's basically a huge VP plus in their book, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of our next team. It's Team North Shore. So this team is like one of the OG's teams to the PCL. And in fact, it's the only team that has been together since season 1 of the PCL. They've kept the same 5 players the whole time, and they have a sub that will actively sub out. So in weeks to come, we might be seeing a change in lineup, just switching one player out for the other. But guys, the players that will be playing tonight are the Food, Slapscope, Crisis Shot, and King Quasi. So that sub that I was talking about that we might be able to see in upcoming weeks is OG Muddy Bone. So they've done very well in the PCL in the past, and I would not be surprised to see them do well again. They know how each other plays. And right now, their highest VPs for a PCL match is 55. That's crazy for a PCL game. And it basically led to them coming very high in that week. I don't remember if they won it or not. And I don't want to say anything that's wrong, but I know that they were in top 5 at that week. So their VP record for a non-PCL match or a public match, it's 78. That is really crazy to get that high because they're definitely on the leaderboards with that score. And you know that a team can play well together if they can get a 78 VP match. So last night, they were doing a bit of practicing along with all of the rest of our teams that are competing tonight. And they said that they were averaging 60 points per game. Of course, these are public matches, but they could have maybe gotten into matches with some other PCL teams. But we are not sure about that. But if you're averaging 60 points, it's pretty good. I mean, you can definitely do well in these lobbies. If you're able to get 60 points every single pub match, that's really good. They know what they're doing, and I'm confident they'll bring it to the table tonight. So they're saying that they will focus on winning, and here is their goal. They're going to try to go for 50 points and a lobby wipe. So they're going to be doing both PvP and PvE. So we're going to have to wait and see how this works out for them. I mean, I might be worried for them that they pick a fight with the wrong person at the wrong time and they possibly do die and then they get 0 points for that match, and that's my only worry with that. And so I asked Food who he thought were the better players on the team, but I mean, it wasn't really that great of a thing to ask because they're all great players. He said Crisis and Slapscopes are the old veterans, and so they've been playing the longest. But he said in the end that if all of them play well, then their team's gonna play well. And I honestly think if they are all on the top of the game tonight, they will definitely have a spot in the top 5 of the PCL teams we're gonna see tonight. So here are my keys to success. Use your knowledge of each other's playstyle to your advantage. I mean, you guys have played the cycle for over 6 months, I'm pretty sure. You guys been playing as a team since October. Like, that's a long time. If you've been playing that long with somebody, you definitely know how each other plays. And then don't take fights you can't win. Like I said, I thought that their only downfall might be if they take a fight that they shouldn't at the wrong time. But it's going to be interesting to see how they play things. And I can't wait to see this team. I want to see like just a crazy lobby that we get a cast. I would love to see like North Shore go against OxyClean and maybe TTV, by the way. And just, I feel like any combination of PCL teams in one lobby is going to make for some great cycle games.
Yeah.
So, Miles, what do you have to think about North Shore?
So with Team North Shore, something that I really noticed, their answer to your question about what they're going to focus on, they want to win, which means they're going to go for 50 points and a lobby wipe. All right, now with these competitive teams, that seems like a very, very ambitious goal. So I'm not sure if that's just their confidence coming through, or maybe if they're going to get complacent and end up not playing as well because they are, kind of just expecting to get really good scores and get 50 points on a lobby wipe. That is a very high goal to reach for, so it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. I think that what you said is spot on. They just have to play together as a team. Their records are very good. They've been playing together for a while. They need to not take as many fights as they might usually, but all around I think they are a great team. The next team, not as well known of a team, but it's Team Cluster Gaming. Cody, what are the players of Team Cluster Gaming so far?
So we got KG Val, KG Pie, Oz Carla, and KG Nova.
And they've been playing together for how long so far?
Only a week. Like that's not a lot.
So this team has only been playing together for 1 week so far. That is 7 days. They haven't even played in the last year so far, if that makes any sense. Basically, they only have a week of playtime, and 38 VPs is their highest game. This team is going to have to pull out something crazy if they do plan on winning this tournament, to be completely honest. They're just not as experienced as some of these other teams, but it is still great seeing these newer teams come in and try and do their best to see what place they can get in. Honestly, with this team, I think if they just play together and evacuate with whatever VPs they'll get, they're going to end up placing at least, so hopefully they can do that. What are some of the keys to the success that you see for this team, Monix?
So honestly, if you guys want to win, you guys have to go to the contracts that you feel more comfortable with. This is not the time to go try something new. Like, I don't even know if they'll have all the weapons unlocked yet. So if there's a weapon that you have not used yet, do not try it out here. You want to be comfortable with your gameplay so that you can definitely just play at the top of your game. And be sure to head to evac early, because I know a ton of teams will go and camp evac. So you guys have to be sure to watch out for that. And honestly, if it's not your week this week, then just come back next week, because this is going to be hard. I don't think you guys have been tested yet like you will be tested tonight, but it's going to be interesting to see if you guys can step up to the challenge. So Miles.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that they're really just going to have to play together and just keep on grinding. If they get in this lobby, end up losing, and then just never come back for another week, I think that's going to be the most detrimental thing that they could do, just because we really need these teams to be coming back and keep on trying to go for these high VPs. And honestly, the only way they're going to get better is going to be by playing over and over and over again, especially against these high-level teams. And what were you going to say before I accidentally interrupted you, Monix?
So we do have to kind of go faster through these last couple, because the games will be starting in around 10 minutes. It might start a bit later, but we want to be sure that we give all these teams a chance to be recognized. So moving on, we have Team Stome Fatu. So Miles, you want to tell us who's on that team? Okay, we're having technical difficulties, I guess. So this team is made up of Holy Jordan, I Love Attention, Bobasaurus, and 66. So I met up with Holy Jordan and asked him a few questions. He told me that Jordan and 66 have been playing for a few months. So this is mainly where the basis of their team came from. And then they played with Jet for a few weeks and Kayin over a month. So Bobasaurus was just recently added to the team. He was their sub, I guess, but he just got added just before we started this stream. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play. So their highest VP as a team is 68. That's another great score. and they've been playing for a while, so I am very interested to see how they do. Miles, you want to tell us the keys to success?
Yeah, so the keys to success that I see for this team, they just need to go for VPs. If they can get up to like, that 68 VP game like they have as their highest VP, I think it'll give them a huge lead. They really just need to be playing just like they have been. I know that this team, a lot of their players are very good. It'll be interesting to see how they play together. I really hope that this team does well. We are actually getting pretty close to start time, so I think that now we should just go through the list of players that we have from each team, and then at the end, if we still have time left, I said that we can talk about some specific teams that we have going. So to introduce Team OxyClean, one of the fan favorites, we have Vertically Obese, Splice is Nice, Gotcha, Lost the War. Gotcha might not be coming to this tournament. I have not confirmed that yet, but this team, again, very good fan favorite. Cody, would you like to introduce Team Genesis, please?
So Team Genesis is made up of Alfie Mate, iPoo, Unbound Sanity, and Lucille. So basically, they're a newer team. They didn't play in any of the other seasons, but we'll get into a bit of more of their gameplay if we still have time. So moving on to Team Eliminators, it's made up of D3V, Lemony, New Pantheon, and Sly. Miles, you want to introduce us to Team Twerks? Okay, so Team Twerks is made up of IO Duck, Verticross, Woe, Tub Dunkers, and we weren't actually able to get in touch with them. So we don't really have anything on their gameplay. And guys, we're sorry. Miles's mic keeps on acting up. So we're just going to try to do as much as possible. Miles, are you back?
I am. I think I have fixed the technical issue. So I will introduce us to Team Cobots. Team Cobots is going to be Minorca, Chazon, H, and Jigglebun. Now, something that I would like to go over that we kind of skipped over because we were just trying to introduce the rest of the teams. Team Eliminators. Now, this team, I have noticed they belong to Envious Gaming, a competitive multi-gaming community primarily focused on MMOs. I don't know how this is going to exactly play into their game, but it's something I would like to point out just because they have been playing together for a while. They are some of the newer players. They aren't very comfortable with PvP yet, so I think we'll see a lot of Beltesite minerals, all of that good stuff coming out of this team. I think that a lot of these teams have a very good chance at winning. There is not really one clear team that I see going very far and automatically winning this tournament. So, Modix, do you see a certain team that you think is going to be up in that top 3 at least?
I can tell you who I kind of feel are going to be my top 3. So, to start, I want to go ahead and put Team TTV, by the way, in here. I mean, if you can get a 92 VP match, I think you're going to be in top 5 at least. But it's not confirmed, but they're one of my choices. My second choice is going to have to be Team OxyClean. With Vertically Obese, Splice is Nice, Lost the War, all teaming up. And if Gotcha does come, we don't know if he's coming. But if all 4 of those guys are there, I think that they have the possibility of getting first place. Like that, those are OG amazing players. They've been at the top of the world of the cycle for a long time. Since it actually released, they've been playing since the playtest. So it's going to be interesting to see how they end up doing it and just playing. They said that they're going to try to just win. That's basically all they told me. And what I would say to them is clear the lobbies. You guys have the skill. Show everybody what they're messing with, and you guys can definitely win because Splice is crazy with a sniper, guys. So I cannot wait to see some of his clips. And then my third choice that I have is the Cobots with Minorca, Chazon, Chakes, and Jigglebun. Minorca is the #1 player in solos in the world. He has the highest score. And then you team him up with Chazon, who can hunt down people and mess their whole game up. It's going to be interesting to see. So, Miles, do you have any teams that really catch your eye?
Personally, I agree with everything you just said. I do not have a certain
11.
team that I think is going to be
07. I
obvious
could do
win.
12 o'clock.
Obviously, there are the teams that are more experienced that I think are going to do well anyways. But something that I think is going to be very interesting is seeing how some of these newer teams play with these older teams that have been playing for a while. I know that a lot of the newer teams have very,
I'll just
very
go and
different
I'll
play styles
just be late
than
to
these newer
conditioning.
teams do. Personally,
All right,
I am just
bye.
really excited to see how this first game goes,
Yep.
see how these teams are playing together.
Bye.
And yeah, overall, I'm just really, really hyped for these games to start, which they will be in about 2 minutes, everybody.
Miles, if you could just kind of take over, I'm going to be trying to get these lobbies together.
That sounds great. So basically, guys, right now what we are doing, we are getting the lobbies together to move into Game 1 of Season 3 of the official Pro.Spectors League. This game is going to be cast right here on the channel. We're going to have everyone's perspective going into it. We're going to be watching from probably about 18 minutes into the game all the way to the end, just showing you guys exactly what's happening. We are on a delay, so not everything is going to be completely up to date. We're going to be showing everything from the players to watch to overall teams. It's going to be quite exciting. Right now, I see that we do have some teams that are starting to load into their matches and start playing. So I see that we have a team of what looks to be 4 or 5 PCL players. Now, we do have to remember there are going to be about 3 to 4, maybe even 5 PCL players per lobby in this tournament, just because we have so many players for this start. For this, obviously week 1 of the tournament, there are about 13 to 15 teams, somewhere in between there. So if we can just even get 5 players in a lobby that are the same, that is going to be very, very good. I think we are going to maybe take some questions from viewers. If you guys have any questions for us, let me know, and I will try and answer any questions you have about the game, about anything relating to the PCL, anything of the sort. Actually, see that we have a question coming in. Let me make sure I can pull it up and read it exactly. Basically, we have a question coming from YouTube. Someone from the username, if I could pull it up, Not. He says, hey Modix, do you think that there are weapon loadouts that are just etched into stone, or do you think that all weapons have some situations where they would be good? I think that this answer is not going to be as simple as some of you may have hoped. I think that there are definitely some weapons that are maybe somewhat etched into stone, just as in they are kind of the base weapons that most players are going to be using. But at the same time, a lot of these weapons are situational. For instance, the Shattergun is obviously the best shotgun in the game, but the only issue is this gun is very situational. If you run into someone with a kinetic arbiter and you have a Shattergun and they are far away, you are not going to be doing very good things. Next question we have comes from Cody Amos, and that is, do you think they will work to add creature comfort features like auto run? Now, I believe this means auto run for players and whatnot, so that you can more easily get around the map and not have to stay as into the game. Personally, I do not see them doing this anytime soon. Right now, I believe they're going to be working more on some of the important things, such as ranked mode, custom lobbies, some of the things that the community has been asking for. The development team at Jaeger Development has been very, very good to us in adding stuff that the community asks for. For instance, Modix did make a video on what we think needed to be added to the game, and it was mainly about a duos game mode, and they went and they added in a duos game mode. I'm not sure how much effect the video had on it, but the community was asking for it, and they did receive it. The next question is going to be from Hunter Murray. He says, how exactly do materials work? Is there an easy way to farm them, or do I either have to look out and find them or win? Now, materials work in a couple different ways. The first way you get materials is by scavenging around the map. For instance, at different power facilities, you might find derelict explosives that you can pick up. There are actually maps on Google and in the Discords that are linked down below for you guys to go check out, that you will be able to see where these scavengeable materials are. So that is going to be your first way of finding them. You can either luck out and just run across them easily, or you can check that map and purposely go and farm up certain resources. And the next way that you're going to be getting these materials is going to be from evacing with a good amount of points. But it does seem like we are going to be going into the games. We have all 5 teams pulled up here. Cody, what teams do we have going into this?
So going into it, on your top left-hand corner of your screen, you're going to see Team Cluster. Top right-hand corner is Team Genesis. In the middle, you're going to be seeing North Shore. And then on the bottom left, we have Patriotic Platypus. And then on the bottom right, we have Team Shorts. We had 5 PCL teams in this lobby. So let's go ahead and take a look at Team Cluster and how they're doing. So right now, they're in 5th place. Team Cluster was the team that we were kind of worried about because they didn't have that much time playing the game. And, I mean, they're in 5th place with 4 points, whereas some of these other teams, like, let's go ahead and head over to Team Genesis. They're in 3rd place with 6 points. So the leaderboards are 9 stars, 7 stars, 6 stars, 6 stars, and 4 stars. So it's still a close game, and they still have the ability to basically go and make anything happen of this game.
Yeah, so this early into the game, we're only 5 minutes in. We do see the lead being taken very, very slowly. Now, this early on gameplay is going to be very important, even if it's just 1 to 2 VP difference. This is also going to give them a lot of credits. Here we can see we have Team Short. He's going and doing some of these Velta sites in 2nd place right now with 7 points. Now, 7 points in 14 minutes in. Obviously, in a pub match, that is not going to be very good, but in one of these games, that is honestly one of the better scores that I've seen this early in with a 5 PCL lobby. If we could switch over to Eric the Unready's perspective, that would be great. Here we see they are the 1st place team, Team Patriotic Platypus. It seems like they're pulling through without Kappa Gi. Do you think they're going to be able to keep this lead? We actually see a PvP fight going on right now. Eric is pushing into this guy. He has 0 health left. 1/2 of his health is left. Eric already has his advocate this early into the game, has already saved up 500 credits. He keeps on spraying down. King Quasi is who this is. It looks like he's pushing him into Sin Sharks maybe. Eric is actually going to back off of this fight with his teammates, going to let that player go with 1/4 of his health left. Very interesting choice to do there. Personally, I think I would have pushed into that fight. Why did Eric back off there?
I mean, they did say going into it that if they don't have to take a fight, they're not going to get it. But when somebody's 1/4 the health, I don't know why you wouldn't take that. Just because that's one less player they have, and they have to be careful in every other fight. But one thing that I do want to point out to some of our beginner players watching, as you guys can see, every single team we've looked at has been focusing on doing Velta sites and farming up credit so that they can get their better weapons. You can see a great showcase of this with Team Genesis. They actually already have their scrappers, so they have their SMGs. And then, as we saw, Eric had his advocate. Team North Shore, they have their advocate as well. And then we see Team Short down on the bottom right-hand corner rocking the ASP Flechette. So nobody has their starter pistols yet. And this is great because, I mean, you got to have better weapons than your starter pistol. Miles, you want to add anything?
Yeah, so right now we actually see we've had a change in power go on. Right now, we have Team Short just dropped down into 4th place, actually. And also Team Patriotic Platypus also dropped down and is now in 3rd place. Right now, it actually looks like 3rd and 4th are tied with 11. Do we know who is in 1st place right now?
Well, looking at it, it's North Shore.
North Shore, one of the fan favorites. This team has been playing together for a while. I do see why they're in 1st place. They already are 14 stars. They also are buying advocates. We have a PvP fight. Immediately he gets lasered down. It looks like it's a team fight. At least a 2v2 that we can see right now. Both players getting sprayed down by Food, both out of shield. Food still has 1/2 of his shield and all of his health. One player looks like he's going to get knocked. He is now knocked. One player is without their triage. And it looks like Food might be backing off to go finish the player while his teammate goes and fights the other fight. That player has been foamed, but not actually foamed. They evac'd in time because of the new update that doesn't allow you to get foamed whenever you use your triage. How is that triage that early game going to affect whatever team that was?
I mean, it's going to definitely hurt. But as we can see, while that fight was happening, Team Genesis actually was able to get the lead with 18 VPs. The lead changes so fast in these matches. So you have to constantly be farming up VPs. You can't take a break to go PvP unless you foam them. And I mean, since they just used their triage, I mean, they can't go down again and revive. So it's kind of scary to be them, but at least you aren't dead. That's good.
That is true. Them staying alive is going to be good, but it also is going to force them to play a little safer. So right now, Team Cluster already with 20 VPs halfway into the match. If they keep up this pace, they're going to be at 40 VPs to end the game as well as first place. That would be an absolutely insane score to start off this season of the PCL. A 40 VP game in a 5-person lobby is going to do a lot for them in the end of the leaderboards. Team Short, it looks like, is still focusing on those Velticites, doing what they can in order to bring their score up. They're in 4th place right now. This is, again, one of the newer teams, and we can see that they are trying to focus more on PvP, which could end up helping them in the long run, whereas these more expensive and scary contracts, the more PvP-oriented ones, are going to be what's helping out Team North Shore get this lead to start with.
So heading down to the bottom, we see Eric's actually taking the lead once again. Like, it's just going to keep on going up. I mean, they're tied for first right now. And so it's going to be interesting to see how each team plays. See, we just had another lead change where actually Team Genesis, it looks like they got the lead once again and they just keep on getting those VPs. But, I mean, I would like to wait till evac to see when these two teams fight, because once it fights, it's going to be pretty crazy. So we actually just saw a player picked up the Zeal Shard. I'm not sure who this is, but I'm pretty sure it was Team Genesis that picked it up. So Eric said that they're going to be going for those Zeal Shards, so it's going to be pretty interesting to see if they go and try to PvP. And it looks like Genesis just completed another Velticite. They are definitely climbing those VPs up. They have 25 VPs right now. And looking over at Team Cluster, somebody's already dead. They already
Team Cluster,
have
someone has already gotten foamed in this game. We're halfway into the game. Team Cluster down to, at most, 3 players left. Now, if we do look at how much these scores are changing, our first place team is going back and forth over and over and over again. 1 second we saw that North Shore was in first place. They took a PvP fight. They immediately dropped down to 3rd place. We can see that Team Short is going to be in 4th place right now with 14 VPs, and then Team Patriotic Platypus coming up behind with a solid 23 VPs, I believe. 23 right now for Patriotic Platypus. Food is actually leading his team on to get more VPs. Really, this lead change is honestly very, very fun to watch. We can see that almost all of these teams are focusing mainly on PvP, which is giving them all a pretty good chance at getting first place for this game, at least. Do you think that one of these teams is going to go for PvP eventually and try and wipe this lobby?
I would not expect it until like the 6-minute mark, but right away, Food's on a team. The 2 teams are about to start fighting, and it looks to me like it might be Team Cluster. And
it does seem to be Team Cluster. Team Short is at the other end of the map. Team Patriotic Platypus is not very close, but it looks like we have a team fight going on. At least 3 members of Food's team are going to be pushing in here, trying to get the kill, but also still doing Velticites at the same time. Very impressive, PvPing and doing Velticites. Team Cluster pushing in now. We can see the first place team at 28 points. Going to be a very good lead to be going into that 7-minute mark right now. If we look over to Team Short, he's actually in a PvP fight right now, going after what seems to be Team Cluster, possibly Team Cluster. Actually, Team Cluster getting PvP down right now at half health, about running away. Looks like Team Short's going to back off if they can. I'm not exactly sure what that was about. They're carrying Zeals and whatnot, but just not able to finish those PvP fights out. I think this is going to be very detrimental to them, not being able to finish off these players. They're spending a lot of time getting their health down, then leaving immediately after they run away. Should they be finishing these players, or is it the right call to leave?
I mean, obviously what they're doing is working. They have a 6 VP lead on Team Platypus. So, I mean, I don't know if they want to just not finish them, but I mean, the team only has 9 VPs, and they aren't experienced with the PvP fights as much. So honestly, I would lead them. It looks like Sin Sharks on Patriotic Platypus is fighting with who is this? This is Genesis right now. They're taking shots at each other. Eric the Unready.
Multiple fights going on right now.
Let's go ahead and check out Eric's idea.
Fighting. Eric is fighting over here with one team. There's another fight going on the other side of the map. Very hard to keep track of, so we will let you guys know what happens as it happens. Eric trying to spray down his entire team, converging on the Zeal Crystal.
Here we go.
Spraying him down, getting a lot of health down to his teammates on this player. He's also not doing well. Eric gets downed.
He knocked somebody down
half health. Eric down to 1 health. He loses his triage. Eric is now out of that fight with no triage left to use. That is absolutely insane that Eric automatically is without a triage heading into this evac time. We also see another player gets down on Team
Genesis.
Genesis over here. Team Genesis is also losing a player. Honestly, all these teams getting knocked, this could be a very good thing for evac or a very bad thing for them. Because as these players keep on dying, evac is going to be hectic and players are going to be getting foamed instead of using their triage. I think that is when we're going to see the most action.
And here we go. We just saw a lead change by North Shore. So while Team Genesis and Team Patriotic Platypuses, the team ahead of Team North Shore, they were able to keep on farming VPs and they ended up getting the lead. So now we have Team Genesis in second place with 31 points. We have Eric the Unready's team at third place with 28 points. And then we have Team North Shore in first place with 35 points. So let's go ahead and cut back to our 5-team screen. So as you guys can see, it's basically up to our teams Patriotic Platypus, Team North Shore, and Team Genesis. So I can't wait to see this evac spot because so many great PvPers getting into basically a place where there's walls protecting them from the outside, and it's just going to be a fight to the death. You got to love it in the cycle.
Oh yeah, them going for that evac is going to be very crazy. It's going to be a very hectic. We see a lot of players still trying to get those last VPs that they can. Team Genesis seems to be staying outside of evac. Maybe they're going for a late push in, but that evac is going to be pretty crazy going on. Like you said, them being encased in those walls is not the only thing. They're also all going for the same place. So if someone's able to set up some turrets, etc., and get in there, that is going to be very good for them. If we can see a push for PvP at the very end, it could get some players up in rank, or it could even be terrible for a team and get them down. We said the first place team with food has 45 VPs already, with 3 minutes and 20 seconds left in the game. 45 VPs in a PCL filled lobby is absolutely insane. And they're actually going to get into a fight right now and back off.
Backing off.
See these players coming in.
So that's Eric's
I think
team.
they're trying to secure the VP.
I mean, Eric has 28 VPs and now they're clearing evac. This is what we were waiting for. I want to go ahead and just transition to the 5-screen page to show you guys that we have 2 teams in evac right now. North Shore is spraying somebody down. Who was it they were spraying down? It had to be somebody on Eric's team, but they keep on just farming up as many points as possible on the actual evac. And it looks like Food's getting sprayed down right now, but he's just going to run. So this is crazy. They're just fighting over the evac points, but once you get the 5 possible points for evac, then, I mean, all you have left to do is just fight. So we will have to wait and see.
I do agree. We're going to be staying on this 5-screen for the rest of the game due to some technical difficulties that we are having, but we can still see there's a lot of PvP going on, especially in this evac zone. The ship has just landed, so now is when a team needs to get at least one person into that ship. It looks like the team in Genesis has gotten one of their players in and is going to be good. Team North Shore also is about to get in, and Team North Shore has also escaped. So we have 2 teams that have already escaped. Team North Shore, that first place team, that just secured a minimum of a 45 VP game, going to be very good for them. Team Short looks like Oxford just got knocked right outside evac. I'm not sure if they have another player going in. Same with Eric the Unready from Patriotic Platypus as well, getting knocked over here. Over here at the top left, we see Team Cluster making their final push for evac. A lot of these teams are just trying to get out and secure their VPs, and we just need to hold one person out. Because the team ends up dying playing in the Storm, you get 0 VPs from the match, no matter what happened. Now that is going to be what seems like the end of this game. It looks like almost everyone has gotten someone out. Patriotic Platypus seems to be maybe making a push for evac in a vehicle. I'm not sure if they're going to make it or if they already have.
Okay, so I guess we're experiencing technical difficulties. I'm going to have to just try. So streams might be down, and we apologize. We are trying to fix it. We're just trying to see out the rest of this match, and then we will probably have to take a break and fix it. I apologize, but it's just what's going to have to happen. We are looking into it right now because sadly we can't figure it out. So it looks like it's down on both. Okay.
Yeah, it seems like our stream is having some technical difficulties that we did not anticipate, but we will still just finish talking about some of this, assuming that our audio quality is going to be okay. We saw Team North Shore coming out with a great performance, finishing in first place, and then Team Cluster, it looks like they're getting out just now as well. Same with Patriotic Platypus making their final push for evac, so it does look like everyone is going to get one player out, which is great for these teams. And it does look like we are going to hopefully have some better stream quality now as well. So let's hop into a different screen as this match just ended. And let's just talk about what we saw in that match going through with these players.
Okay, so let's go ahead and just come over here. We got some background gameplay for you guys. So basically what we saw, Miles, do you want to talk about this?
11,
we can basically head over into our results
07.
reporting.
I can do 12 o'clock.
It looks like I'm trying to find those matches. We have 57 points coming from Food's team. We had 47 coming from, what team is that?
Okay.
Team Genesis.
I'll just go and I'll just be late to conditioning.
We had Team Platypus with
All right.
36
Bye.
VPs. Then we had Team
Short
21.
Bye.
Miles, you can take over for the last.
Team Short 21, and then our final team. I don't actually remember the team name, but they had 13 VPs. They were the newer team. Honestly, 13 VPs. They got 2 of their players out for a brand new team. That's honestly really good. I would say the fact that they were able to evac every single team in this lobby got at least one person out. But we do see that our first place team right there, Team North Shore, at 57 VPs, a 10 VP lead from everybody else. That's absolutely insane coming out from that team. If they're able to end up going through that and do that well.
Okay, Miles, are you there? Or are we experiencing more technical difficulties?
More technical difficulties. The commentary is playing over.
Okay, this is just a ton of struggles, guys. I do apologize. We just fixed it, though. Well, this is what you gotta expect from week 1.
That is true. This is only week 1. You guys are definitely going to have to stay tuned for week 2. I'm not sure whose audio is bad right now, but I really hope it's not mine because I'm the one talking. If you guys have any suggestions for the overlay or for backgrounds or anything like that, please definitely let us know. Also, be sure to join the PRO.Spectors Discord down below. I saw a lot of good things coming out from North Shore. I saw during that lobby, not a lot of people were taking fights, which I thought was very interesting. Consider some of those players are more PvP-oriented players, but it seems like they're really playing for the win there. What do you think?
I'm just gonna take a bit of a break. If you could just kind of hold it, I'm gonna try to fix this as much as possible.
Sounds good. These technical difficulties are not the most ideal thing for us to be experiencing right now. We did do some test streams, but it seems to not be working out precisely how we had imagined. Hopefully you guys are still able to keep up with the tournament as good as possible. We are also streaming over to YouTube as far as I know, so try and check that out, see if it is better. I'm just going to go through some of the results from the other teams because like I said, we had about 13 to 15 teams participating this week. So I'm just going to go through some of the teams, some from the other lobbies. Right now, I am seeing that Twitch Menorca, his team got at least 43 points. We have Cobra's team pulling in 31, a Rising Sun's team pulling in 28, Holy Jordan's team pulling in 18, and then Kellamar pulling in 16 with his, what seems to be his new team. So it seems like these lobbies are really filling up and giving these players a chance. We also have the other match. This is the last match. Honestly, one of the not as good matches that I've seen coming out from these teams. We had two PCL teams from this match. They're going to get penalized for not having as many players in. And it looks like we had Vertically Obese at 49 VP, and then a team with Wadu Heckington at 29. So not the best that we've seen coming out from some of those teams, but they do have to just kind of play through as best that they possibly can with the lobbies that they do get. Do you think lobby placement really does affect these teams if they don't get in those high PCL team lobbies?
I mean, we can't do anything about it. Let me just start off by saying that until we get custom lobbies, there's nothing you can really do about it, but it does kind of bring a disadvantage because if you're losing 1 VP or 1 point, which is 10 VPs, like you just wasted the time it takes to get 10 VPs, which will really hurt somebody. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how they can come back from it.
I do agree. Hopefully they're able to get into one of the bigger PCL lobbies, especially with Vertically Obese's team, because that team is way more PvP oriented. And whenever you are with non-PCL players, I think that it is very easy to get stuck with PvP and only go for that and not do as much PvP, as much PvE as you would like, and then you end up not getting as many VPs. Also, the penalization for not having as many PCL players in your lobby is going to hurt them, but it is a fair way to score it, I do believe. The scoring system, again, we did go over it at the start. We will be going over it again later on in the tournament if the stream is still up. And really, I think that Vertically Obese team is really just going to have to focus on PvP and play it together as much as they possibly can. Any opinion on that?
I honestly didn't hear what you were saying. I'm trying to figure some things out right now. So guys, actually, before we do anything, I want to go ahead and just roll a break. We have to go meet and figure some problems out that we have with the stream. So we will be back as soon as we can. Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Modix back with another Cycle tips and tricks video. And in today's video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how you can win every single game in this cycle. So basically, I'm just going to be giving you a few tips and tricks that should help you guys survive more of your games and hopefully get that first place finish in all of your games. So to start out, you want to start prioritizing the contracts. And I'm not going to tell you guys which contracts you should prioritize because we already made a video on this, and that's going to be in the top right hand corner of your screen right now. So be sure to go check that out after you finish listening to all of these other tips. But if you learn to prioritize the contracts that get you the most VP